When I became an Oriole, one of the best guys to talk to about the mechanics of pitching is sitting right here next to me, Jim Palmer. 8-time 20-game winner, 3-time Cy Young Award winner. When I needed to know something, I went to Jim to talk about it. And, you know, Jim, to start right off here quickly, we look at a lot of pitchers, you and I. We watch them during the course of the game. We text each other back and forth to see, you know, what is really happening. And I ask you about the mechanics of baseball, and you a lot of times kind of agree with some of the things I say about pitchers that don't stay behind the ball, things that catchers should talk about. Talk a little bit about the mechanics of pitching, Dylan Bundy in particular, how much better he is this year, and what is he doing right?
Well, I first saw him probably would have been the spring of 2012. He was one of the best high school pitchers in the country. I talked to Art Stewart, who's in his 80s now, a longtime scout for Kansas City, and I was in the press room a couple of years ago. He said, you do know that I saw you pitch, and I also saw Dylan Bundy and Doc Gooden. He said the two best high school pitchers I ever saw. So he came out of high school, and I asked him a couple of days ago, I said, were you ever wild? He goes, no. I said, who taught you your windup? He said, my dad. But my dad studied Nolan Ryan and Roger Clemens. Now, Oklahoma is very close to Texas.
Two pretty good guys.
Yeah, exactly. And what could they both do? They could throw strikes. They had a lot of longevity. So to do that, number one, you have to have a good windup. Then you have to be able to repeat your windup. And I was talking to head trainer of the Orioles, Richie Bancells, and he said, you know, people don't understand how smart Dylan Bundy is. So here's a young guy at 24 that can pitch. And now, you know, Wally Bunker could do it. He was rookie pitcher of the year at 19-5 when he was 19. Just sinker breaking ball, but had a repeatable windup. He would end up hurting his arm, so he's never quite the same. But win 19 games, you know, a little two-seamer, ground ball to shortstop, and, you know, he could strike people out when he wants to. So mechanics, they're so basic. You know, we'll go out on the mound and look at that. But, you know, basically, if we're driving a car, you know, we want to go right, we want to go this way. If we want to go left, we go that way. So if you're right-handed, and Dylan is, that's his front shoulder. And the other part of it is, you know, if I don't want to fight you because you've had a much better history, but if I was going to fight you, I wasn't going to kind of do this. I'd go boom. I'd go boom, you know,
stay
whatever.
Right behind
so yeah, so my front side. Right. Just kind of like hitting. You don't hit this way. Well, I mean, some hitters do because they get fooled or whatever, but you want to hit through the ball. Pitching's the same way. I always felt when I was pitching to you or Dale Rod Hendricks or to Andy Etchebarren when I first came up, you know who's hitting, you know what you want to do, but you're throwing the ball through the hitter to the catcher.
Through the strike.
Through the strike zone. And how do you do that? Good mechanics.
Yeah. Well, you know, let's do something. Let's do a little comparison. Let's go up on the mound, and you talk to me about Dylan Bundy's windup and how much improvements he made, and compare it to you, Jim Palmer, 20-game winner 8 times.
Okay.
Grab your glove.
Oh.
This will be a little fun. So, anyway, there's a lot of pitchers in today's game, Jim, that they throw well, but they're not consistent enough. They don't seem like they really understand the true mechanics of pitching. The best pitchers in the game, we can sit there and watch them, and we say to each other, this guy knows how to pitch. And it's always that guy that finishes up on balance, ready to field his position after he throws. It has a
Well,
key.
you know, I was talking to Buck Showalter, and he said, you know, the other day on Memorial Day, he said, you know, I kind of felt like Bobby Cox must have felt. And of course, Bobby Cox, you know, he managed all those great pitchers. He had Smoltz in the Hall of Fame, Glavine in the Hall of Fame, Maddox in the Hall of Fame. You know, 300 wins for Glavine, 355 wins for Maddox. And what did they all do? They threw strikes, and, you know, basically he just kind of sat back, and you're going, oh, you know, things are pretty well. But, you know, I mean, Dylan and I are pretty basic. He may pitch a shade more to the left, but maybe my foot was a little bit bigger.
That's important.
Well, I mean, I look at him saying he's kind of in the middle of the you know, of the pitching rubber, and this pitching rubber is 24 inches. Now, a lot of pitchers don't know that, and home plate 17. But when you take this ball, you can get home, you know, home plate maybe an extra 2 inches here and an extra 2 inches there. So you're looking at 24 and 22. So if I'm way over here and I step across my body, like Kevin Gausman used to do, now he's over here, but he's still across his body. It's a long way to the out. I really got to work to get the ball. So what Dylan Bundy does, and what I was taught, is pretty much stand in the middle of the rubber, or maybe a little bit to here, because of course when you take your windup, and when I was talking to him, I said we were taught in the Oriole organization to kind of, as we get up here, when we come up to a windup, we'd break over the knee. He said, I sometimes feel like my elbow hits my knee. So that's what his dad taught him. Now, why the leg kick? Now, of course, my leg kick was real high.
Real high.
But when I walked 130, 129 innings, I went to instructional league, and every day I'd work on balance. He's very balanced. So what you want to do in a pitch, number one, you want to have God bless you with a good arm.
Yeah.
I had it, and Bundy has it. And then I want to be able to stay here, and when I break my hands, my arm is getting up. Now, what's your front side do? If you look at Ubaldo Jimenez, who struggles with his, he's got a lot of stuff going on here, but this doesn't do anything. What Bundy does is kind of like you're looking over your glove. Now, what does that do? That gets me over my front side and into that position that you talked about.
Yeah.
And not everybody can be Jim Cobb, who won 16 straight Gold Gloves. Jim was a great left-handed pitcher. But what you try to do is just be balanced. And when you think of what you try to do when you throw, again, we have this plate 17 inches wide, and you take the ball. So you got like 5 or 6 inches. You have this lane, and you have this lane. So the better your mechanics, the better you can get your front shoulder in a similar place and your foot down. Now, Dylan does kind of what I did. His foot maybe slightly closed. And again, Ubaldo, because the gate swings too open, he swings here. What's he doing? He falls
and
this
on
way.
the heel.
And on his heel.
Explain what the heel does when the heel is up in the air.
So basically, we were just caught when you come here. I mean, it's very simple. As you're throwing, this leg just really goes to home plate. The back of your knee, if I had a baseball pan on, there'd be a strike. If I take the back of my knee right to home plate, it's hard to really mess a lot of things up. And then, the gift of having, natural ability.